I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
We made the decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the 7th generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here.
How are your other farmers, for your friends, feeling? I know a lot of them are Trump supporters. Do they still feel good?
Everybody's pretty nervous. Everybody's pretty scared. There's some of the older guys that, farm out of their pocket. They're like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not giving back 30 years worth of work. Everybody's scared to death. I got friends that are bankers that, will tell you the bank examiners is already telling them, look, you're going to have to deal with these guys because their equipment's not going to be worth as much. Their land's not going to be worth as much. I mean, this is exactly like the movie from the 80s with Sam Shepard and Jessica Lange Country. That's what's going to go down. They're going to sell people out.
Arkansas is one of the biggest agricultural states in the U.S. and farming there isn't just an occupation. It is the backbone of the entire economy. I'm talking about rice, I'm talking about soybeans, I'm talking about cotton, I'm talking about poultry, I'm talking about cattle, okay? Now, let's say this. Right now, farmers in Arkansas are sounding the alarm louder than ever. Bankruptcies are skyrocketing, okay? Meetings have been held in Stuttgart and across the state where farmers are crying out that we can't make it anymore. Our costs are too high. Our income is too low and Washington is not listening to us. That's what is happening right now. That's what is happening right now. And white farmers, those white farmers, the same ones who for generations were told they were privileged, they were superior, they were chosen and guaranteed prosperity in stolen land, are now furious. They are realizing that they were lied to. They are realizing that their farming system is collapsing, okay? And the twist here is that many are now desperate enough to look at black people for help, because it's only black people who have the wisdom. It's only black people who have the survival tactics. It's only black people who knows how to deal with what is happening right now. So today, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what is happening. Input cost, fertilizers, fuel, machinery, seeds is high, okay? Commodities price aren't covering expenses. And some farmers are saying that they have worked all years and ended up in debt, not profit, okay? Imagine breaking through, you are back in the field only to come out owing more than you started with. And even more devastating, economists are warning that 25 to 40% of Arkansas farmers may leave farming entirely in the coming years. That means what? That means not just families losing land, entire communities collapsing. Let's watch these clips here and then we come back with more commentary.
This is terrifying. What? Farmers across America are going bankrupt. They're calling it Farmageddon. Good. Serves them right for supporting Trump. You still don't get it, do you? Where do you buy food? The grocery store? And you think food prices are bad now? Just wait. Tariffs have decimated farmers. What do you think happens when you start ridiculous trade wars with other countries? They get mad? Yeah, understatement. China's the world's top soybean buyer, and soybeans alone brought in $13 billion for American farmers last year. Now those sales, almost all gone. Yikes. And that's not all. These immigration crackdowns, some farms lost 100% of their workers, all kidnapped by ICE. Now, how do you pick food without workers? You can't. It's rotting in the field. Whoa. Plus, seeds, feeds, machinery, potash, pesticides, all more expensive than ever before. Then you add on high interest rates, and what do you get? Farmageddon? Bingo. And farmers were already 3 times more likely to die by suicide. Ugh. And don't forget, in 22, JD Vance's venture capital firm heavily invested in AcreTrader, an app specifically designed to buy up farmland for cheap and sell shares to investors. Wait, so the goal is, want to control people? Control their food. So what do? Thought?
Quick question for the farmers in Arkansas who are begging for government handouts. Weren't you the crowd that wanted to take away benefits from hungry school kids? Weren't you guys cheering on the end of USAID? Were you guys happy about WIC going away? Because you didn't think that people should be receiving government handouts. You were all like, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. But now you feel entitled to government handouts? So socialism for me and not for thee? Do you even know how hypocritical that sounds? There's a saying my grandmother taught me, and it definitely applies to farmers in Arkansas. You reap what you sow, and what you sowed was hate. And now you are losing everything. I'm not happy about that. My step-grandparents were farmers. I grew up visiting a dairy farm every week. I know farmers work hard, but I also know farmers tend to be very stuck in old-fashioned thinking. And it's time for you to wake up. That's what we mean when we say woke. Wake up and see how your hate is actually negatively impacting not just the lives of other innocent people, but you. Do I think the government is going to actually come through and give farmers a handout? Probably. But should you take it when you've already denied those kinds of help to innocent school kids, starving kids overseas? I don't think so.
Can we just talk for a minute about the Arkansas soybean farmers? Arkansas voted 2/3 for Trump. Trump had promised to implement tariffs. Trump then implemented those tariffs. China has retaliated, and because our soybeans, the tariff war made our soybeans too expensive, they decided to buy their soybeans from Brazil, signed 20-year contracts with Brazil, and now for a generation, the Arkansas soybean farmers are screwed because they lost their biggest soybean customer. And they are demanding compensation. Demanding. I mean, I almost admire it. I almost admire the audacity. But they said they don't really like taking government handouts, but they really don't have a choice. And they are demanding that we compensate them.
We're looking at 1 to 3 farms. 1 out of every 3 farms going out of business right now.
Representative and farmer herself, Deanne Vaught, explains the message her and other agriculture leaders discussed during Tuesday's public meeting in Stuttgart. They say it's a tough situation for farms, many of which have been around for decades.
The heartache of having to decide if I can carry on with the 5th generation farm or the 4th generation farm, and knowing that it lands on me if I don't move forward. That is a lot for a farmer to carry on their shoulders.
Now, despite a recent report from the U of A Systems Division of Agriculture showing net farm income expected to rise 22% this year, experts like Jeremy Ross say the math on the ground tells a different story.
You get $10 and you harvest a 55 bushel crop, that's $550, and it costs you $580 to put that in, then you're $30 in the hole.
Meaning many farmers are operating at a loss with debts that carry over year to year.
The truth is, it doesn't really matter what you grow. You are projected to lose money on an acre, really no matter what you've planted on it.
Brandy Carroll with the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation says inflation, tariffs, and global conflicts have all driven up costs, while crop prices remain depressed. And while experts say the Big Beautiful Bill Act will provide $66 billion in new farm investment starting in 2026, Carroll says by then it's too late.
And so they're facing a really hard choice right now, how to keep their families on their farm and how to maintain their way of life. And so there will be a lot of people making really hard choices.
Trump's illegal tariffs have single-handedly destroyed the U.S. soybean market. As of yesterday, the price of soybeans is about $9.34 here in Iowa. The cost of production is anywhere from $11 to $11.50. So per bushel of soybeans, it's about a $2 loss. And when you add the fact that it's about 50 bushels in an acre of soybeans here, you can do the math to see how bad things are. Historically, 60% of Iowa soybeans have gone to China. With Trump's trade wars from his first administration, the U.S. has become an unreliable supplier. So instead of these soybeans going to China, it's soybeans from South America, like places like Brazil and Argentina. That leads to more grains going to be left in the bin, which means to oversupply, which means to lower prices. So here's what we need to do. We need to demand trade, not aid. Farmers don't want a bailout, they want markets. The second thing we need to do is push for competition, both on the market side and especially on the input side with seed and fertilizer costs.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own. DC plans to send Argentina $20 billion in economic assistance. And what does Argentina do? They cut their export taxes and sold shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, farmers right here in Arkansas are left behind with falling prices and no market. I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life, until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us. Politicians like Tom Cotton are letting DC put Argentina over places like Arkansas. As a farmer myself, that is something I would not allow. I will fight for trade policies that put Arkansas farmers first, every time. I'm Hallie Schaffner. I'm the 6th-generation Arkansas farmer running to unseat Tom Cotton in the U.S. Senate.
Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September's upon us, harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China for this current crop that's about to come out of the field. Historically, over the last 5 years, about 1/3 of soybean sales to China would be booked. China amounts to 25% of our total U.S. soybean crop. So that would be 8 or 9% of the whole U.S. crop would normally be on the books with China right now, and we have 0. That is alarming. The farm economy as a whole is struggling. Inflation has caused our cost of production to rise drastically on every front. Commodity prices, in particular soybeans, are down about 50% from where they were 3 years ago. And our numbers are deeply in the red. And we send this letter to President Trump because we've been talking for months about needing to have sales in place, a deal in place, a phase 2 type agreement that has purchase commitments along with a level playing field on trade with no tariffs. And we haven't had anything happen, unfortunately. And our appeal to President Trump and his administration is make soybeans a priority in any trade negotiations that are taking place. Soybeans are the #1 agriculture export to China. And in the last trade war, it was 71% of the losses that we had as American farmers. And they're critical.
Yeah, so if we look at, and we're going to divide. So I'll stay with grain and oilseeds because that's what I do day to day. But I just have to say one thing about livestock. For livestock folks, we're in good world for them right now. So I'd love to be able to have as good a world that they're having in GNO, but we just don't. And so there's just so many things, and it's really a supply story this year. When you think about across the globe, we haven't had a year where every country's almost on all 8 cylinders where we're getting full production. And that's where we are right now. It's also too a bit of a dichotomy in the US is that you've got we're building corn stocks, but the world is not. It's just the opposite in soybeans, where the world's building soy stocks and we're not. And so it's a very weird world, but the fact is we just have so much supply in the world. That's just going to keep prices, really on the defense.
So let me get this straight. The farmers of Arkansas are asking the federal government for handouts, for checks, because they are struggling financially because of the tariffs and other policies of Donald Trump. They can't sell their soybeans and other goods into foreign countries like China because of the tariffs. They're now too expensive for them to be able to sell them into China because of the retaliatory tariffs. And they can't afford equipment. They can't afford the high rising prices of equipment because of other tariffs on goods and manufacturing and raw material and everything like that. And they are saying they have never seen it this bad. There was a farmer who's in his 39th season of farming, and he says he has never seen it this bad. He literally said, Donald Trump, you said you love us, but I'm not seeing the fruits of your love. What the fuck? Arkansas farmers, and they're saying, of course, it's affecting everywhere else. We saw Nebraska was having problems, facing bankruptcy. Farmers across this country are facing a huge pinch, and a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump and his policies. Well, you should have thought about that, Farmers for Trump, when you went into the voting booth and places like Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska went ruby ass red in 2024 in November. You guys made your bed, you fucked around, and now you're finding out. So yeah, the fruits of Donald Trump's love are rotten pieces of shit. If you didn't know that going in, you know it now. So as your farm continues to struggle and you're looking for a socialist handout, why don't you try pulling yourself up by your bootstraps that you preach to everybody else about and do something about it? Because frankly, the rest of the country doesn't give a damn anymore. You should have thought about that before you sold the rest of us down the river.
White farmers believed a lie. They believed a lie. And someone says racism is expensive. It's true. Because they were told this, that this is your land, this is your inheritance, and farming will always provide. The government will protect you. The system will take care of you. That's what they were told, okay? And part of the lie was built on black exclusion. When black farmers were cheated, when black farmers were denied loans, when black farmers were pushed off lands by racist policies, white farmers thought that they are insecure, okay? They thought the system was designed to protect them forever, okay? But here we are in 2025 and the lie is unveiling itself. The same government that told white farmers they will be safe is now cutting subsidies, is now delaying aids, is now leaving them to drown in debt. And white farmers are furious because they are realizing what black people have known for centuries, that the system doesn't care about you. The system uses you, and when it's done with you, it throws you out. And obviously, we are having historical parallel here. Black farmers once made up over 14% of American farming population, and today, black farmers are down to less than 1%. Not because black people doesn't work, not because black people did not work hard, but because policies, because banks and government agencies deliberately shut black people out. Loans were denied, land titles were stolen, families were forced into foreclosure. USDA discrimination was so blatant that lawsuits had to be filed for decades just to acknowledge what happened, okay? And white farmers in Arkansas right now didn't care about them. In fact, many benefited and they took the land, they took the contracts, they looked the other way. They said, this is not our problem, it's your problem. But now the same playbook is being used on them. It is his tool. When it's upon them, they are hungry right now. They are angry. They are demanding emergency funding. They are calling for families, for fairness. Many white farmers are now looking for black farmers, are now looking for black cooperation, okay? And even black-led communities for solutions. They want to know how to survive in hard times. They want to learn resilience. They want to borrow wisdom from the very people they once ignored. Okay? And this is because that black people have always known how to survive with little. Black people knows how to work the land when resources are scarce. Okay? Black people knows how to build community network when the government fails. Black people knows how to hustle and create something out of nothing. Okay? So the very skilled black people developed under oppression are now the blueprint white farmers desperately need. That's ironic, yeah? Those who laughed at us, the black farmers, those who mocked black people, those who excluded, are now the ones seeking or asking, how did you make it? How did you make it? And I'll say this is not just about Arkansas. This is about America, okay? The farming crisis is a mirror of a larger economic collapse happening in America right now. A nation built on debt, a nation built on exploitation, a nation built on lie is starting to eat itself from the inside. Farmers right now are canaries in the coal mine. If they can't survive, whole system is in danger. Food insecurity rises. Rural communities or economics dies. Prices skyrocket in the cities. You have to know this. The Arkansas farmers are the one who are holding the larger part of the economy of the US, okay? And if they fall, America fall. And here's the prophetic truth. The collapse of white farmers' security is proof that white privilege cannot protect you from a falling empire. White privilege can never protect you that. The Bible says, what you sow, you shall reap. And for centuries, the soil of Arkansas was watered with the sweat of enslaved Africans, with the exploitation of black sharecroppers, and the inclusion of black farmers. And now the land is rejecting the lie. Land is crying out, and those who thought they will reap forever are now facing famine. This is not just economics. This is spiritual, what is happening. The tables are turning, okay? And here's the beauty. While white farmers are scrambling, while white farmers are crying, black farmers are slowly rising again. Across the South, black cooperatives are re-emerging. Young black people are reclaiming land, starting urban gardens and building sustainable food systems, okay? Because we are the future as black people. And if you are the future, and if you are the chosen one, a way will just come for you to walk through. And the fact that the white farmers are now peeking over the fence, desperate for advice, shows that shift, okay? It is showing the shift, and the narrative is changing. The narrative is changing. And my black families, yes, you can extend the wisdom, okay? You can extend the wisdom. You can share some survival strategies, one or two here to white brothers and sisters. But I think we cannot allow ourselves to be used once again to prop up a system that will still respect you, you know? If white farmers want black help, then let them acknowledge the truth. Let them admit how the system destroyed black farmers. Let them fight for reparations, okay? Let them stand with black people. Let them stand with black people, not just when they are desperate, but when we are building, okay? Because the future of farming in America will not look like the past. It will not be dominated by the white-only narrative. It will be multicultural. It will be multicultural, cooperative, and rooted in justice, okay? And if America cannot make that shift, its farming industry will collapse altogether. And maybe that's what's needed. Sometimes the old must die for the new to live, okay? The raw truth is that white farmers in Arkansas are waking up to a nightmare they thought belonged only to black people. Because for decades, whenever black people cried out about discrimination, about unfair loans, about the USDA denying black farmers basic rights, they were dismissed. The black farmers were dismissed, and they were told that they were playing victims. They were said that work harder, stop complaining, you know? And the same white farmers who said that they are the ones running to microphones in town halls saying that we can't survive, we have been abandoned, we need help. They are those white farmers who are now going to do meetings and seeking that help. They are realizing somehow that black people, some things that black people have already knew. America does not have permanent loyalty to anyone, not to black folks, not even to white farmers. America has loyalty to profit. America is run by money, and they need money, profit and profit only. And once the landowners, the big corporations, and the seed monopolies figure out they can squeeze more out of fewer farms, then they will throw the small farmers, whether you're white or black, okay? Now, even though farmers are begging for relief, the US government is dragging its feet, okay? Emergency farm aid, subsidies, and relief bills are stuck in Congress, okay? The politicians are playing games. They are polarizing foreign wars, corporate bailouts, and tax breaks for the rich, while farmers in Arkansas, who are supposed to be the backbone of America, can't even pay their bills. That sounds familiar. That's exactly how they treated black communities for generations. They drained labor, they drained taxes, they drained the sweat of black people. But when it was time to help them, they turned their backs. Now, the white farmers are tasting the same bitter cup, okay? They're tasting the same bitter pill. And Arkansas farmers aren't just losing to high cost, but they are losing to corporate control. This has been happening. And that's why we always say something that is happening to your brother, to your neighbor, it can happen to you too. Why? Because when there is fire on your neighbor's house, if you don't help to keep off that fire, it will stretch up to to your own home. And all of you, you will lose homes, whether you are anyone, okay? And black people, we had that survival wisdom. And right now, I think white farmers are asking black farmers, how did you manage to hold on to land when everything was stacked against you? They want to know how black people build networks of mutual aids when government abandoned them. And that wisdom comes from centuries of struggle of black people. Black people learned how to stretch 1 acre to feed 10 mouths. They learned how to use every part of the crop. They learned how to turn farms into communities, not just businesses. And now white Arkansas farmers want to learn what they used to laugh at. But all of this is about the falling of empire, okay? This isn't just an Arkansas problem. It is an American problem. The empire is falling. The debt is exploding, the dollar is weakening, and foreign nations are pulling back from U.S. trade. And when empire falls, the first to feel are the workers of the land, are the farmers, okay? They lose stability, they lose protection. So America is looking like Rome before the collapse, looking like Britain before the empire crumbled, looking like every colonizer who thought that they will reign forever until the bill comes due, okay? And white farmers who thought they were shielded by whiteness are now realizing they are not shielded from the collapse. And black people want them. During election, they voted for DJT because they thought DJT will protect them. And right now, DJT is nowhere to protect them. They are crying out here without any help. So that's what is happening in Arkansas. The Arkansas farmers are asking help from black people. They are regretting and they are crying. Tell me what you think on the comments about this video. Until next episode, peace out.